Welcome to Point Blank. This is your host, Panama Crypto. Today, our guest is Koroush. Koroush is a crypto trader, investor, and a great source of education in crypto space. Welcome, Koroush. It's awesome to have you here.
It's really awesome to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me onto your podcast. I'm a big fan and I'm looking forward to this.
Awesome. Let's get going. So, who is Koroush?
So, I guess there are a few labels for Koroush. You could say trader, entrepreneur, influencer, crypto influencer specifically, maybe even athlete, given it's a huge part of my personality. But fundamentally, I'm just a person trying to enjoy life and have a net positive impact as I go through it.
Nice. So what is your in real life experience and background look like?
Well, if we go way back to university, mathematics was my focus there, specifically statistics, which naturally translated quite well into trading, which is where I am now. In between that, I was lucky enough to have my first business venture at university be successful. And because of that, I got a little addicted to entrepreneurial ventures and went through multiple up until around 2017, where crypto became one of those ventures and has taken a bigger role recently.
What was your venture in college?
Well, we ended up setting up a kitchenware business where we found a cheap supplier, specifically due to the discrepancy between the euro and the pound at the time. And we were supplying regular corner shops across Northern England with pretty discounted kitchenware. And it was a successful business model. Our margins were pretty decent due to our supplier. And we rode that out as long as we could until the arbitrage opportunity was no longer there.
Nice. So you learned to arbitrage before you could do it in crypto. Are you doing arbitrage right now in crypto?
Well, I guess if you want to think proper arbitrage, I could go back to my school days where I would buy candy and then sell them behind the teachers' backs for markups. It's just the game's always been fun to me. It's never really been about the money. There's a certain satisfaction about providing someone with convenience or a better service and making a profit off of it. It's a fun game to play, and I genuinely enjoy it for that reason. Do I do any specific arbitrage in crypto? I've dabbled in it. At the moment, I'm not doing any. However, me and a friend did have one very successful venture where we managed to build a good arbitrage bot that we quite comically named Optimus Dime, a take on the transformer name Optimus Prime.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, doing it manually is close to impossible because all the bots and market makers are currently taking advantage of that opportunity of arbitrage.
Absolutely. It's a very competitive market to get into. A lot of people are looking for edges there simply because it's quite obviously programmable. You just have a set of API feeds giving you in the prices, and you try to find opportunities to make money in between those. And obviously there's a lot more complexities, but at the core of it, it's very different to building a bot which tries to take advantages of inefficiencies in the market, specifically to do with price action, for example, or technical factors.
Exactly. Have you incurred in the algorithm trading bots, automated trading bots?
No, it's not a primary means of trading for me. It's just something that I've dabbled in whenever I could, but generally it's not been a primary focus for me. Just ventures I've taken on with people far more qualified than myself.
Jumping on to the next question. What are your current projects inside and outside crypto, if you don't mind me asking?
Not at all, actually. So before COVID, I had a rough 70-30 split between property related ventures and crypto. But since COVID, I have dived 110% into crypto. Right now, all my focus is there. I've recently launched a newsletter and a podcast. I've doubled down on my YouTube. I'm really trying to take it seriously. My mindset is generally, if I can deliver a lot of value to people online, that will come back somehow to me. and create a sustainable business model.
No doubt. The first clickbait you shared was the one with the link. The link kidnap.
Oh, yes. That was quite fun. I've recently realized that previously my focuses have been quite heavily on just detailed breakdowns, exploring not just simple concepts to do with trading, but breaking them down, getting more advanced and detailed with them. And I realized it's not a very efficient way to communicate a message. A lot of people aren't here to find niche intricacies and complexities of trading. People passionate and interested enough about that tend to find it themselves. Generally, you want to spread the core principles and concepts, messages, which are essential to trading in as many different ways as possible. And that's the way you impact the most people. So entertainment in that link video was just a means of communicating messages in a different way, which people respond to. You get a louder voice, and if your intentions are good, you can use that voice to do awesome things.
Yeah, no doubt. You had that creative side that helps you lure people in to check out your content, which is pretty good.
Absolutely, man. The creative side is a passion for me. I have a side project which I've been working on since university, actually, with a really good friend of mine who's a comic artist, where I want to make my own comic, and it's a big goal for me. So yeah, hopefully I have a big enough voice that could be a great launching platform for that project.
No doubt. Looking forward for that. So jumping into the trader and trading topics, what do you think wrecks the most traders, and how a trader avoids these situations?
Okay, so I'd like to split this into a two-part answer, starting firstly with not understanding risk management. So a lot of people try to focus on the technical analysis side, the what indicators to use, what strategies to build, when that's a small part of the actual trading. What you need to prevent from happening is you blowing up your account, you having low probability events wipe out everything you've made. So if you are not using a stop loss, for example, that's looking at the absolute basics, and a black swan event happens and your asset crashes 50+%, you're wiped out. You're absolutely done. And that is something which is easily preventable. Now, if you go a little bit deeper into it, you also need to understand risk of ruin. So if you end up losing multiple trades in a row, if your system deviates from what you expect to happen with it, you also need to be prepared for that and make sure you will not be wiped out in those scenarios. If you don't understand any of the concepts I've spoken about, you can find out more about them with a simple Google search. Also, I have a lot of educational content on my YouTube channel. Not looking to plug it here. I'm just saying there are loads of free online resources where you can learn about that. And then the other side, which I almost dislike talking about because people roll their eyes when you mention it, is the psychological side. Even if you have the best strategy and the best system in the world, if you don't have the mindset to execute that system, you're not going to be able to do it. So you could understand how to manage risk on your account, but if you're emotionally unstable and you panic and you end up doing things which deviate from what you know, which everyone is susceptible to, that will also wreck your account. So psychology is one half, and then risk management is another, as the two most common things which can absolutely wreck traders.
No doubt. So how do you recommend traders to trade this alt season?
Well, if you're a new trader, right off the bat, I'd say don't trade. First, you need to take a step back and study. Go find online resources and learn about the market. Then, once you've got a base understanding of the trading game, that's when you can start testing out some strategies. Once you've tested it out and you have data supporting what you're doing, that's when you can start trading the market. I like to compare it to a poker game. You'd never go to a professional poker game with, say, $10,000 without understanding the rules of poker or having any idea how to play the game and think you'll make money. So understand the rules of the game first, try out some test hands, make sure you actually can play this game, and then go play the game. So if you've passed that stage and you want to learn how to trade this alt season, go find a complete technical analysis guide, get your technicals on point, get your risk management and psychology on point, and then specialize in a certain part of the alt season, if you will. So if you want to focus on the larger coins, pick those, take Bitcoin or Ethereum, study them, learn them, get in tune with the market and its ebbs and flows. You don't have to pick them. If you prefer smaller, more volatile coins, you can go for the mid caps, the small caps. You can go specifically for this Uniswap frenzy. Whatever you want, just pick something, specialize in it, and get really comfortable with it.
A thing that I've seen is that if you are fortunate or unfortunate enough to enter in alt season, is that alt season will pump your confidence to unthought levels. And whenever the bear season comes, it crushes your confidence to all-time lows. So it's tricky to become a new trader and a proficient trader in crypto, especially when you join in it, as it happened to me in alt season 2017.
Yeah, absolutely agree there. Generally, emotions are running high when you could buy any asset, pretty much throw a dart at a dartboard with a list of assets on it. Whatever you buy goes up in price. That sort of situation is bound to get emotions running, dopamine pumping into your brain, and reinforcing bad habits. That's what it does. You take on reckless financial behavior, and you get rewarded for it. So you then repeat that reckless financial behavior, and it works until it doesn't. And simply because of the nature of gambler's ruin, your bankroll is limited, the market's bankroll is unlimited. So eventually you will lose everything while you continue that.
This episode is brought to you by PrimeXBT, the exchange that makes possible to trade with leverage on legacy markets from a single Bitcoin-based account.
Sleeping in alt season, how does Koroush do it?
I love that you've mentioned sleep. So this was one of my absolute biggest trading mistakes. Early in my career, say after the 2017 craze had passed and we'd gotten into 2018, at this point I was profitably trading, but there was a turning point where suddenly I discovered my holy grail system, if you will. I managed to put something together that was perfect for the current market conditions, and the win rate was so absurd, I don't even like mentioning it because people question it. But the important part of the story is that the system was so profitable that I prioritized everything over it. I was once at the hairdresser's and the barber was cutting my hair, and then an alert went off on my phone. So I was away from my computer and I couldn't actually take the trade I wanted to trade. And it was a sizable trade too. So I ended up video calling my girlfriend at the house, having her log on to my computer, walking her through the the 2FA and all the security stuff, getting her to take the trade for me, staying on the phone the entire haircut. And that was just that side of it. What I also ended up doing was letting it sink into my sleep. I would set alerts on at night, and I was trading the 15-minute and 5-minute time frames. So I had 6, 7, sometimes up to 10 alerts going off in the middle of the night. And it was just an obsession. I had this fear that this was the best system I'd ever make. And once you gain experience, you know there's always going to be another trade. But before that, when you're excited, when you're making money and sleeping is literally costing you money, you mix up your priorities. So that ended up costing me insomnia for actually over a year. I was struggling with sleep. I didn't have a regular pattern. I had to teach my body how to sleep, and that definitely hurts a lot in terms of psychological effect. It seeped into my fitness, ended up obviously making every other endeavor in life worse, and I realized there is nothing more important than sleep. So only on rare occasion will I prioritize money or trading over sleep. Generally, I have a cutoff time. around 11 o'clock. If I have any positions open, they either close or I use trading stop losses, or I set up some sort of automated thing where whatever the price does, I have a plan and I'm prepared for it.
Nice. So basically have a schedule of trading time, like, and do not exceed it.
Absolutely.
I saw a list yesterday that Scott Milker shared called the 15 ways to stay sane while trading crypto by Jeff Wilson, which is really good. Among them, it's keep up with your sleep, basically, because if you don't sleep, you're killing your mental capital. And if you don't have mental capital, you are prone to make mistakes.
It's actually not just mental capital. Sleep will, if you don't sleep, your hormones will get messed up. Your body will start to deteriorate. Your lifespan will be shortened. There's tests done on athletes where having a bad night's sleep before an athletic endeavor can reduce performance by up to 30%. Now, to put 30% into perspective, athletes take steroids, which are banned, to gain a 5 to 10% edge. So anabolic steroids, which are banned and counted as cheating, give you a 5 to 10% edge, and a bad night's sleep can reduce your performance by 30%. That just puts into perspective how essential sleep actually is.
So jumping to the next question, Koroush. Spot versus leverage. How to play them across a market cycle?
Well, this is pretty simple for me. Spot is generally what you want to use for longer term positions. There's a time and place for leverage though as well. I avoid the generic advice that a beginner shouldn't use leverage simply because leverage is just a tool. If you understand the fundamentals of risk management and you understand the tool itself, which you are using, for example, are you trading? What sort of derivative are you trading? What sort of fees are there attached to it? If you understand the product you're using, leverage can actually help you reduce your risk. So you can end up putting less money on the exchange and using 10x leverage to reduce your counterparty risk. So I don't want to have 100 grand on an exchange. Instead, what I do is I just put 10 grand of the 100 I would have put on, and then I use 10x leverage with that money. So I have now reduced my counterparty risk with money on the exchange. And the other place where leverage can help you is if you have a 100K portfolio, for example, or any number, it's not important, and your stop loss is less than, say, 1%, you can end up sizing your positions in a way that you can still hit your minimum risk despite using a tighter stop loss. I have a full tutorial on this on YouTube, but generally leverage shouldn't be something you're afraid of. If you have the understanding to trade, you have the understanding to use leverage as well. So if you shouldn't be using leverage, you shouldn't be trading in the first place. And yeah, that's my general thoughts on that.
I guess sometimes people say that in crypto Twitter to avoid leverage trading because there's always the hype of go YOLO trading and go 100x. That's probably where people get wrecked the most.
Yes, so that would be an unprepared mindset to trade. If your mindset isn't ready to trade and the only thing making you get wrecked is a leverage meter on the side, which you can slide up, you can do the same thing on spot. You can oversize yourself for a position and maybe you'll get wrecked less, but if your mindset isn't ready to correctly size for a position, your mindset isn't ready to trade in the first place. That's my argument to that would be, yeah, you could maybe get wrecked more easily or faster, but if your mindset is leading you in that direction, you're going to get wrecked anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So Koroush, what coins do you currently have?
I have Bitcoin. I don't really hold anything else. I do have small allocations to a few alts, which I have personal attachment to, but most of my crypto exposure comes from Bitcoin. I like trading Link, Tezos, Ethereum, and Bitcoin primarily.
What coins do you have personal attachment to?
I quite enjoy Link. simply because being part of the Marines is fun, and that's a small part of my portfolio. I also have a small exposure to Ethereum and a few others again, but really minor exposure to the point where I generally don't mention them, because if I don't have serious holdings in them, I don't want people to take my word and go start investing in these things, which I myself am not heavily invested in.
So you basically only trade major caps, no mid caps or micro caps?
Well, I have in the past quite heavily traded the mid and micro caps, but I'm sure you remember as a trader, there was a period where the Binance volume really, really died down. It was close to impossible to get any serious size positions on the mid to low caps without taking on risk of extreme slippage. And during that period, I shifted my attention to primarily Bitcoin trading, and I fell in love with it. I didn't have to worry about crazy slippage. It was my positions would easily get filled. I was no longer a large player in the game. I was now a nice medium-sized fish. So the Bitcoin market was a lot more comfortable to trade. Yes, a little less profitable, but the benefits were worth it. And then alt season came along and Bitcoin stalled a bit, whereas Link started to go crazy and Tezos did similarly to a lesser extent. So my trading moved on to them too. Then I ended up missing most of the Ethereum run, but towards the end, I started trading that as well.
So on to the next question. Difficult one for you. To Uniswap or not to Uniswap, Koroush?
Well, I would say this depends on your time commitments and what sort of ROI you can get on your time. Uniswap can be hugely beneficial in the sense that there's a lot of opportunity there right now. It's the closest thing we have to the 2017 madness where people are making fortunes on yams and chicken tenders. So there's opportunity there for sure. And you're absolutely welcome to go try and benefit from that opportunity. In the same way I mentioned with the altcoins, make sure you're prepared and you know what you're dealing with. Yes, personally, I'm not involved there, but I have other places I'm putting time and energy and money into right now. If I did have the time, energy, and money, I would be involved in the Uniswap craze as well.
Yeah, definitely. There's so much money to be made across crypto, major caps, mid caps, micro caps, that it depends on the amount of time you want to put in. Obviously, the more time you invest in it, obviously, it depends on the time that you're willing to sacrifice.
Yeah, absolutely. There's always an opportunity cost. If you put your time into one place, you're taking it away from another. Same with your energy, same with your money. And right now, Uniswap just happens to not be somewhere I can put my time in. That is maybe a little bit of a mistake because I have friends who in the space of 2 weeks have managed to double their entire trading portfolio trading on Uniswap. So I have no doubt there's a lot of opportunity there, but I have taken the decision to put my efforts elsewhere with all my new ventures in the social media space.
So on to the last question, Koroush. What is your personal lowest and highest point in crypto?
I'll start with the lowest point so we can end on the high point. I absolutely think my lowest point was Twitter related. Actually, I had a area of time where I was getting attacked and it got quite personal to the point where someone ended up starting to like dox family, and that got quite ugly, and they started slandering. But yeah, so that specific social media drama was definitely the worst point because obviously as a doxed person in the space, I'm not a cartoon avatar. So when someone puts up the details of my family members or even goes for personal attacks, it's actually going somewhat directly to me. So that caused some anxiety and difficulty, and that was definitely the lowest point. The highest point was definitely, I don't know if you remember 2017 ICX, but I was one of the fortunate ones who managed to get into the ICO of that. And that was without a doubt the highest point of crypto once cashing out of that.
And with that thought, we end our episode. I'm really honored to have Koroush on Point Blank. Thanks for coming on, man. Can you tell us where we can find you?
Thank you for having me again. Like I said, I'm a fan and I love what you do. If anyone wants to find me, they can find me on Twitter, YouTube, and I'm the author of the Market Meditations newsletter. Yeah.
Thanks for listening. Until next time. Peace.
This episode was brought to you by PrimeXBT, the exchange where you can trade without KYC on legacy markets with your Bitcoin. You can trade commodities like gold, silver, oil, even indexes and forex. Join now and get a 50% bonus on top of your deposit for trading at u.primexbt.com/Panama.